Welcome back to the K-12 Confidential Podcast, the show made by current veteran K-12 teachers to shine a light on the ignorance, apathy, corruption, and greed of our leaders and in defense of a national K-12 educator governing board. Today's episode includes an interview with a new teacher who chose to leave the profession after just 2 years due to low teacher pay and the deeply systemic structural problems inside of K-12 education. He got a sneak peek of our introduction to the teacher pay mess episode, which we have not released yet, and responded to it in this interview, which our listeners are also going to hear next week. We called this episode, Take This Mess and Shove It. It's sort of a sneak peek of the introduction to the teacher pay mess episode coming along soon. Thanks for listening.
K-12 education is a mess. U.S. literacy rankings are in the bottom half of the world and are a hidden cause of the erosion of our very ability to effectively self-govern. How did we get here? America's teachers can tell you, and the answers will shock you. This is K-12 Confidential.
So my name is Kelvin Mack. I was a high school English teacher for 2 years, and I have recently resigned and for the meantime, do not plan on returning to teaching. I think that my motivation for becoming a teacher actually started when I was in high school. I remember observing my teachers and thinking, they have this curriculum that seems to have nothing to do with what my future will look like, right? Just like, for example, like my English curriculum was like pure literature. I love literature, but also felt, what am I going to do with this? I actually am not sure. The purpose of this class and the work I do seems so abstract and removed from real life. So I remember thinking, if I were to ever become a teacher one day, I think I would have some pretty good ideas. I kind of just like kept that stowed away in my subconscious for a very long time. After I graduated with a degree in English, I worked as a private college consultant. So I was helping kids apply to college, helping them with their essays, brainstorming which colleges they want to apply to. And after a while, I felt, I think I could really, really enjoy working and mentoring kids. So then I had this idea that, I think the teaching profession is calling to me a little bit. So I did the whole credentialing and master's program combination thing, went into teaching and realized that it would be very hard to make a difference in this very strained and, like you said, Trina, oppressive system. I think I kind of just saw that this might not be for me with the things that I've encountered in teaching. So,
Kelvin, your experiences with this very oppressive profession are so valuable to us because I believe in my heart and I know for a fact that it's gotten more oppressive for the younger group that's coming up. Like I'm, Gen X, and I got into the profession late. It's a second profession, but I've been in it for years now. It is only getting worse, isn't it? Do you want to react to some of the things that came up for you in the episode? Like what was something you hadn't considered, or what was something that you've been experiencing that just felt really great to hear someone else say? What do you think other teachers might not agree with, or maybe things you didn't agree with us? Please.
There were a couple of things that were extremely validating. I think it was Trina's quote where you might have said, young, educated, self-possessed people are not going to start a job that gives you a fraction of a full salary. And I'll be honest, that same exact thought had been running through my mind since I started. When I thought about, wow, I'm working so much. I'm working, during the school day. I am doing planning after hours. And it's not even just the labor, but it's like the emotional energy that it took and that it continues to take, even when you're done, even when you're off at night, like after dinner, I'd be thinking before I go to sleep, oh man, how is tomorrow going to go? What do I need to do to talk to this kid about this thing? What's my late policy for this assignment? Do I need to change up my classroom management? I felt I was doing a lot of labor. And I am, I think, yeah, I recently turned 29. I'm looking at my friends who are in other jobs in other sectors, lots of like software engineers, people who work in marketing, etc. They're also extremely busy, but they can negotiate salaries. They have unlimited PTO. We have summers, but that's not quite the same. And but I'm watching all my friends basically save enough money to have a life, and I'm just here. I feel like not being fairly compensated for my labor. So, really, really listening to that quote validated me. I think I'd rather just do less and get paid a fair amount. I guess like one more thought about this quote. I think there's been kind of like a shift in attitude, I would say, especially for millennials onward, where life is no longer about working. It's like you work to live, you don't live to work. And I think that like Puritan, like Christian attitude that has influenced American attitudes towards labor, where the more you work, the harder you work, the more prosperous you'll be and you'll get what is fair. That's kind of going away. I think that mentality is going away. And people in my generation, and I think from now on, like onwards, realize you work to live. Like clock in, clock out, just give me my paycheck and I can do the things I really want to do outside of work. Whereas I think like the previous generation was very much like, this is your life. Your work is your life. So
I think those are incredibly important insights. It's absolutely essential that teachers who have been in the profession for a long time hear honestly what a younger teacher has experienced. And for me, going into the profession, I was always like just flabbergasted by the reaction of baby boomers. They had just had a very different experience with climate and culture of their campuses, a very different experience with the amount of debt they had to take on to become a teacher. And, not only was cost of living more affordable, childcare, education, healthcare, all of that was more affordable then, and it was less debt to become a teacher, they were compensated more fairly. And so it wasn't great. I'm not saying it was great, but it was better then, right? And your experience with why you departed from the profession is going to intersect with a number of the topics we're going to be discussing. Can curriculum and school cultures are definitely a part of why you departed, not just the pay and the preparation process. So we're going to hear from you, thankfully, react to a number of our episodes. But I think the term that I use, which is really revolutionary, of considering teacher pay as incomplete until you top out, is an important term because it names the thing for what it really is. Because in education and in society, we like to play around with labels to cover up realities and truths. There are not other professions that pay you out like this. And I mean, when I talk about other professions having considered it, nurses, the nursing industry considered it. And again, a female dominated field, considered paying one specific union, fought back against this idea of step and column for their nursing staff, because the idea of some nurses making a lot more money because they've been in the profession longer was insulting to them. It's the structural sexism bit, because this whole profession was built up around the idea that there's these married women who have husbands with money.
yeah, I did not know that's how Horace Mann, this guy who had such noble ideas, right? Like make education accessible to all, could also, have this insanely sexist like teaching income policy. I really did not know that. And it appears that this attitude just remained for some reason in the teaching profession. It made me think a lot about like, why is it then that I think in the previous episode it was mentioned unions fight to increase the salary at each step on the pay scale, but why not just like do away with this and allow teachers to negotiate salaries, or allow teachers, even just like pay teachers a full income? I found it incredibly ridiculous. I remember when I first looked at my first, salary schedule, thinking it tops out at 120,000 or so after 25 years. I think someone outside of the education sector can get there in 5 years, 6 years, maybe, if they worked really hard and like jumped companies and negotiated well. They could get there in 6 years. It's such a bad deal economically to be a teacher, and it's so sad to say because I love this job, but
I know.
yeah.
Hearing your reaction is so validating for me too, because I was thinking about you and your generation when we were talking. Because also, like, I'm whatever halfway through it, and I know I'm not set up in the way I need to be to provide just the basics for my aging parents, my son, and we don't have any wealth. We don't own a home. So I was thinking, like, why would any young person want to do this? It's only getting worse. It's only getting more expensive to become a teacher and to live. But you also talked about like this work-life balance that your generation is so like wonderfully and beautifully considering. And you're right, it is very white, puritanical, this idea that we're supposed to sacrifice so much. But the deal here is that, yeah, a lot of us, me included, signed on for a job which we knew we weren't going to necessarily get a ton of money. I remember my very first class in my credential to become a teacher, it was a boomer. And she said, you're never going to be rich, but you're always going to be able to own a home, take vacations, and provide for your family. That was the promise that they were given. That's not the promise now. But and then you get into the profession, you realize I'm broke, I'm in debt, I'm never going to get ahead, but this job is meaningful and important. And then you see all the social justice problems in our society mirrored and exacerbated in our classrooms. And nothing that you are able to do makes anything better because they don't listen to us or respect our experience or expertise when we give them real good solutions to making our schools safer and more equitable. It's all baloney.
I think I often felt that there was no avenue for me to ever, speak up or, provide constructive criticism. I felt like it was very hard to communicate like, hey, I think this thing could be improved. I'm noticing this. What can we do about it? Like the systems to give good criticism, to improve our schools didn't seem to be very present. It felt like everyone is kind of siloed away or just very, very busy. Like people don't have the time or energy. It was just like, just put your heads down and, do what you can for the kids. But yeah, it seemed very hard to create any like structural change. There was no outlet for me, I often felt. So
yeah, so the sort of unseen compensation of knowing you're doing something that's good and important, it isn't there. If you're a really, really good teacher and you put your head down and you do what you're told, you can impact the lives of dozens of individual students. Or if you're a school leader, dozens of teachers and families, which is awesome, but it's not enough. You need to change the system. And if you're a person who is super self-possessed around actually changing this and making it like getting us away from the school to prison pipeline, for example, or just making our schools safe and producing human beings that can compete in the world economy, right? That are well-trained, which our schools are not even doing that right now. If you're a person who insists on that, it is crazy making. So there isn't that feel-good benefit of knowing that you're having an important impact on the world because you're not, because our schools don't let us do that. So like, what is the point? That's what I feel so much of the time.
yeah, no, I wanna echo that. I came in with so much idealism, thinking like, well, I think I could really make a difference. And I think emotionally I did. I think I was there for my kids. I really enjoyed building relationships with them. But curriculum wise, skills wise, I felt, like, wow, I'm not sure why, again, like as someone that loves literature, why I really sometimes don't know why we're teaching like how to analyze a book when we could be analyzing, for example, the rhetoric of a presidential speech or more like a rhetorical analysis type of skills that are based in real life. Those are the things those are skills I think that you need to be an informed citizen and to participate in our civic life. But I wasn't sure, like, how do I talk about this? How do I say this? Who do I talk to? I don't know. And I was so busy eventually that I was just like I guess I'll just let it pass for now. But it stays with you. You just eventually feel like, there doesn't seem to be a point in what I'm doing. I came up against that a lot. So
we're going to talk a lot more about why you experienced your school culture and the educational system at large this way, because it has been set up to exclude teacher voice. There is a strong vibe that I actually studied in my master's program, which is regarding a term you may have heard of known as neoliberalism. It is opening up our profession to the capitalistic marketplace with this idea that someone else other than us, other than the people inside of our schools who work there, know more about what we need to teach and how we need to address the kids and how to fix our problems than we do. And there's no expectation that anything they do is actually effective, because people move on so quickly from their positions of leadership that nobody's actually going in and authentically investigating the efficacy. And just wait until we talk about reading education. I don't want to reveal, but we are doing a very poor job of teaching our kids arguably the most important thing, which is how to read.
I did like an entire unit on ChatGPT, and I was like, let's analyze like the history of this. Let's talk about how like AI has come about. The final task of this unit is a Socratic seminar. Let's also like teach you how to use this effectively. Also, like, what are the implications of these technologies, And I think near the end, I really went off script because I kind of knew that I wasn't going to return. And I was like, screw it. I think I'm actually just going to teach what I myself think is incredibly important. And I ended up leaving that unit with everyone at my school and
feeling very, very polar opposite feelings about Kelvin leaving. Is that like, darn it, we need you, but like, run for the hills, Kelvin. Get out. We love you. You deserve better. But wait, we want you. No, get away. No, we want you.
There was one thing that I did want to mention, and this has kind of stayed with me. My mentor teacher told me this really great quote saying that teaching is one of the few professions that rewards idealism. And I think that that's exactly what allows the system to prey on teachers. I don't disagree with my mentor teacher. I 100% agree. Like truly, I have never felt so connected to people in a job as teaching. But also, I think that's exactly why this system is so difficult to change, because all these teachers, they show up for their kids. They show up for the profession because they love it. And I think the system, maybe not individuals, but like the systems will prey like on quote unquote the weakest link. And that's maybe what makes us most vulnerable, is that we love our kids and we love our job. So that's all I wanted to say.
That was beautiful. I got chills. I feel like our love and compassion is exploited.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then we're not able to do anything with the knowledge we gain as we go to make things better. Not really and truly. It is absolutely infuriating, honestly. Yeah, to watch all of society's problems coalesce in front of you, know what you need to do to start making it better, not fix it, and then not be able to do it. It is demoralizing. Thank you for listening. You can help this vitally important movement by signing our petition found at k-12confidential.com, liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel, and following us on Instagram.